you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Just
oh, well, he's right. I just want to be different. We'll help
exactly.
them out, you know?
These contrarians. No, you're right. You're right. We've been talking some heavy stuff. Let's
Uh,
talk some One
Go
Piece
ahead.
for a bit. Um, I don't think I got your perspective on the past two chapters, right?
Yeah, probably. It's been a while.
So it was 889 and 890. So
Yeah.
889, that was the whole thing with
She's getting skinnier.
right, she's getting skinnier.
And Luffy challenges Katakuri in the mirror world, I think.
This is when she changed her sword to Konya. Wait, hold up, no.
No, that's
No,
before
that's
that.
890.
This is when
This
Kara.
is Daifuku. Yeah, this is after the chapter after Carrot went her mink form, right?
Right.
And this is when Brook was running on water, and we had Pedro still chasing the ship. This is when they called Mama an unknown monster,
Yeah.
right? And now they're saying that okay, we've never seen her like this. From here on out, we don't know what's going to happen.
hmm
We had the Sanji and Capone thing, where Capone and Sanji Sanji knocked Capone out with the cream, right?
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah, I like that.
That's hilarious to me. And then we saw the Zeus, um, where there was Zeus and Prometheus. They had that quick argument. Then we had the whole
Uh-huh.
thing with Kara. She's still taking the helms, and at the end of it, that's when Big Mom fell on the ship.
That's right.
What were your thoughts on this chapter as far as like everything that
It
happened
was
about
good.
that?
I feel like everything was quite well balanced. I mean, after a week's break or whatever, it might have not reached a lot of people's expectations, but
Right.
people forget to zoom out and look at how it fits into the story as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, it works quite nicely because now you've gotten rid of a potential fight like that. You know, how would we have dealt with Daifuku if he caught up with our ship because he is ahead of us? We needed some way to get past it, and there you go, there's the way. But he also managed to tone it down a bit because if Carrot had absolutely destroyed Daifuku later on in this series, it would be hard to explain how strong Inarashi and Nekomamushi and Pedro or Sicilian would be.
With
You know,
with that bump.
if Carrot got like a 200% buff, the other minks would have to get a 200% buff, and that it'd be hard to scale all that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I feel like it was a fine chapter. Um, I think it was hilarious. I enjoyed seeing that form of Big Mom with her hair on fire, Zeus and Prometheus.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was
And Napoleon changing form so that his face is in the blade was nice. You
yes,
know, I like Napoleon.
yes. That was amazing to see that Big Mom truly has. I would say this is a warrior form. When she's really about to go in, per se.
I remember speaking to some people. Some people don't think that she can do this when she's fat. I don't know why they think that.
People were. Let's go to the next chapter, 890, where everything that happened to Big Mom, right? Let's
Uh,
jump forward to when Brooke kind of blitzed her.
right, that's towards the end, yeah.
And people said, okay, if Brooke can blitz Big Mom, anyone
Uh,
can. And
right.
if she can do that, if that can happen, then Big Mom she has no chance against someone like Luffy doing that.
What?
Right? No, but I don't know if you saw the reaction to the last chapter, but it was
I
real.
didn't
It
watch
was.
any. I didn't watch any videos. I haven't watched any One Piece videos in a long time.
Let me tell you, it was an outrage. It was an
Really?
outrage. It was an outrage
Oh
because
damn.
I think I was defending the chapter. Who else defended the chapter? I think Froob didn't have as much of a problem with the chapter, but he had issues with it. So the
Oh yeah, there are definitely problems. Yeah.
main issues are one, Jimbo.
Yeah. What about
Uh,
Jumbo?
the fact that he was able to knock Big Mom off the ship.
What's wrong with that?
They said she's a Yonko. Big Jimbo should not be able to do that.
Why not?
He shouldn't be strong enough. Big Mom is looking underwhelming. The second one was Chopper.
What?
Chopper being able to guard against Big Mom bringing her hand down.
People tried to. I remember in your Discord, people were claiming it was a fist. I was like, huh? No, it wasn't the punch. It was just her like trying to
It's,
grab Nami, and then if Chopper got in the way.
it's an open palm, but they're saying that guard point should not be able to block a Yonko
Why not?
because Chopper should be that strong.
Okay.
I reference when Luffy blocked Sengoku, who was we can say he's
I,
Yonko now,
I referenced the same thing in your Discord. Yeah.
right? When that happened, Was that a problem? And they were saying, yeah, that was a problem too. I was like, I didn't see as much hoopla about that when that happened. They're
Yeah.
saying with Big Mom, Jimbo knocking her off the ship, that was underwhelming, and the fact that the Straw Hats were able to, as a unit, get her off the ship, or disarm her at least for a while, that was trash.
No, it was executed better than last time.
That's what I'm saying. My issue when I was reading the chapter, I was like, please don't let it come down to Nami just taking Zeus away from Big Mom again. Where Zeus even said, "Oh, I'm not gonna fall for that again. Like that's not gonna
Yeah,
work on me again." It's like I'm like,
that
okay,
was good.
great. Big Mom, she's literally going in and out of consciousness, and her focus is still the cake, where she's looking
Uh-huh.
through the ship trying to figure out what this cake is. Jimbo tried to block Big Mom. Shark skin doesn't
Impressive.
work. It was cool. He still got sent flying,
Uh-huh,
right?
exactly. Still got made bleeding. We don't even see the result of his arms. I would have covered it up when he got
That's
back on
a
the ship,
that's a
so
huge thing where
who
people are
knows?
saying Jimbo could be missing an arm now. It's like possible,
I don't think he's
but I
missing an
don't
arm, but
think
he's
so.
definitely damaged.
He's damaged. He was bleeding. It was blood when she did that. Secondly, how weak do you think Big Mom is now?
Oh, she's not weak at all.
You don't think she's weakened?
Not really. I feel like, for example, if this were like, as an example, a fighting game, right?
Yeah.
She still has the same like attack damage. I just feel like some of her move list is cancelled. I can't pick some of the moves. And like for example, like my controls are inverted. If I press up, it actually goes down.
What about defensively?
Defensively, I feel like she's lighter, hence why she can jump higher, move maybe slightly faster, and get
Okay.
pushed back. But I feel like, for example, if Jinbei did that to Fat Big Mom, she wouldn't get pushed back as far, but she would get pushed. Vagabond Drill managed to push Wadatsumi, who's much heavier than Fat Big Mom. But I still don't think any of these attacks that hit Big Mom this chapter did any damage.
What I'm looking at for Big Mom is the fact that how I'm justifying it because I don't know how much I like that they were able to do that to Big Mom. Where yes, looking at it from a standpoint of feats, and I feel like that's kind of the the problem with being a part of YouTube and a part of social media, where I've been programmed to look at these moments and judge a character based off like strength. So seeing this from Big Mom, like, well, she should be a lot stronger, especially when you use Whitebeard as a gauge. But
Well, not really, because like you have to remember, like if you put anyone else in a similar situation where she's having to fight multiple nerfs at the same time, she's not in her right mind. Right? I was saying like to be fair, like you have to remember, if you put most individuals in a similar scenario
yeah,
where they just so happen to have four nerfs and counters against their fruit power, they're not in their right mind, and they have someone on the caliber of Jinbei who we saw block a Kainu, he's managed to do all sorts of things throughout the series, right? Taking advantage of these counters and these nerfs. I don't expect many individuals to do good in a similar situation.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, man, Big Mom is getting killed right now. She's getting
Not really.
killed.
She hasn't received any
No,
damage.
no, no, no. What I'm saying as far as like from the community.
What she always has been, isn't that's not changed.
Oh man, bro, it's gotten worse.
But it doesn't matter because it's the wrong mentality. Like it doesn't change my opinion whether they think that or not. I can see clearly what this chapter is being used for.
Right.
It shouldn't matter. Like, for example, I can argue the opposite. If you solely look at what she did do, she managed to knock Jinbei back, whereas Akainu couldn't. She managed to rip apart Adam Wood, which we've seen no one else able to do. She managed to tank a Vagabond Drill, whereas Wadatsumi was hurt by it. She managed to tank another Lightning Bolt. All sorts of things. She can put flames on her blades, like Kinemon and stuff like that, despite it being from her Devil Fruit.
Right.
All sorts of things. She's immune to fire being in her hair and stuff like that. She can land on Prometheus if Zeus goes. Loads of things.
So if she's immune to fire, why isn't she immune to Zeus's lightning?
She is immune to Zeus's lightning.
What do you mean?
We've seen before at the tea party, she can shove her hand in it and lightning can course through her arm. We've seen when she was fighting her son at the start of the arc, she could punch the ground and lightning bursts out. We've seen when she got hit by the thunder lance tempo in the seducing woods. It didn't. She had the same expression and she came out of the ground with like the slight grazes and she was perfectly fine. She got hit by she walked through Prometheus's explosion in the seducing woods with nothing on her. She got hit by the coup de burst. She got knocked over by Pedro's explosion. Did no damage. The only damage she's taken this arc is when her knee touched the ground and she bled.
I mean, that's true. That is all true. And I am of the mindset that everything that happened this past chapter is fine. Okay, let me ask you this: what issues did he have with the chapter?
My issues are that, for example, if I read through it now, that like the consciousness thing, the fact
Okay,
that she's super conscious right now is bizarre because at the very start of the arc we were told she's not supposed to be conscious in the state by Zeus himself,
do you
right?
think there's some
Which is her.
premise to that saying that this is an unknown mama?
Right, exactly. However, you cut forward to when Perospero lied to her, and when in her fat, ill state,
Yeah.
she was conscious there too. And then he suddenly forgot. He was like, "Oh, how conscious is she? She remembers I lied to her." There's a bit of like a weird thing there. Then also the fact that she's not using haki. People argue she can't use haki in her rage state. When if you rewind to when she killed Opera and she was punching the building, she was using haki in her rage state. So why isn't she using it now? There's little tiny things like that. Um,
Hmm.
the other one as well is, for example, I wish that I wish she had displayed the DC of Cognac first before getting stopped by Jinbei, because some people assume it's as strong as like Elbaf's spear or something like that. For example, I believe if Jinbei blocked an Elbaf spear, that'd be far more impressive than a Cognac.
Okay, I mean, because she attacked Jimbo, Vagabond drill, then she said she was about to slice the ship in half.
That's right. Meaning there was a stronger attack incoming.
Right. With fire on the blade, all that. And
Uh-huh.
that's when Brooke comes in with his three verse humming soul arrow.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying that second attack would have been more impressive than Albaf's spear, or no?
I don't think it would have been more impressive. I just know it would have been more impressive than the first one she did to Jinbei. It's just like I'm frustrated that people that I've spoken to believe that that is like her strongest move she's ever done in the series so far. That is not true. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying like for example the other one thing as well I didn't like in that one chapter is 890 at least is yes it's cool that Big Mom can like ride on Prometheus, but if the Straw Hats can take away Zeus so easily, right, in
Yeah.
this state, what's stopping them doing even better against Prometheus? Why can't we already know Brook can hurt Prometheus? Why can't he just stab Prometheus and why can't Jinbei just melt him and then Big Mom drown? Like like if Big Mom carries on surviving after this, I would I would argue backwards that the Straw Hats are trash for not being able to stop Prometheus.
Yeah. No, no, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, I like the collective effort that they put forth.
Yeah, it was good. Look, you have to. Oh, the other thing, Brook being immune to lightning, it's great for Brook. It means that he's super strong, and it explains why he survived so long in the last fight. But it's kind of like, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand that. Where like are bones not affected by lightning?
In this series, apparently not. I'm assuming he's probably immune to fire and Smoothie's juice fruit, or like all the theories were about. He's probably immune to lots of things. He's a skeleton.
Uh, oh man. I mean, so I guess. Do you ever think NL would return?
Yeah, he said he would.
So it's like if NL returns, then Brooke could have a hand in that battle.
Brook wouldn't be able to beat him because he doesn't have Haki, but
Yeah,
if he
yeah,
ever got Haki, then maybe.
yeah. That was a discussion where people think like, okay, who are the next Straw Hats to get a hockey?
I don't think they really need it. I think they can become perfectly strong without it. The only one maybe is Chopper, Like he could really do with something.
Chopper.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think Nami needs it. I don't think Robin needs it. I don't think Brooke needs it. I don't think Frankie needs it.
um, Brooke. I think Brooke. I would like for all the Straw Hats to be able to use hockey,
I
some
don't agree.
form. Why not?
I mean, yeah, cool. They're going to be the Pirate King's crew, but I don't expect them to all have haki. You know?
I don't. I mean, I guess I'm looking back at it. I'm looking at it. And I'm thinking, okay, when you get to the top tiers, but I guess they're always going to be someone on their level to take down. I mean, I suppose you're right. It just makes sense for them to, because all of them are special in a way where it's like hockey. I would expect Robin should have hockey already, as much as she knows. That's something she should know how to use already.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if later on she develops it. But I don't really see how it's a benefit to her fruit unless she learns Shigan or something. Like using clutch on a Logia wouldn't work even if you had haki because you're not you're not really snapping their spine because you're not Blackbeard, you know?
I suppose you're
Like
right.
if you know, like you can, yeah, you hacky up and you can touch them, but if you snap Aokichi's spine, it's just going to turn to ice.
You know, we were having a huge discussion. I don't know if you saw that with King of Lightning on his channel about Aokiji versus Akainu. And it turned into a big thing because pretty much he was
Repeat
saying
yourself, sorry.
no. Aokiji versus Akainu. King of Lightning had on his top
Oh
30.
yeah, I saw that. I thought that the Aokiji over kind of thing was very interesting
Um, it's interesting, right?
because it's. I would, you know, you can definitely make an argument for it, 100%.
Okay, Cole's argument was because it's a water world, Aokiji would be able to manipulate more than Akainu would.
Not entirely true. Volcanoes and magma create islands themselves, so
And volcano comes from the molten rock in the earth,
ocean, yeah,
right?
and the crust,
Right,
exactly.
exactly. So ultimately, Akainu would have access to almost the same exact resources.
A resource, yeah.
Also, Aokiji's fruit is the chill fruit, right?
Uh-huh.
So Aokiji's fruit isn't necessarily ice; it's the process of, right?
Uh-huh.
So essentially, Aokiji has no limit as to how cold he can make something, right?
I don't agree.
So you think there's a limit there because he has a
Of
chill
course,
fruit,
it's like saying that Ace can just become a sun. You know, yes, he made Entei, but it's not
right?
as hot as the sun.
But what I'm saying is, Ace is fire, so he's held within the restrictions of fire, right?
But it's not the
It's
fire fruit.
flame
It's the
flame.
flare fruit.
Is it flame flame or flare flare?
Flare.
So, but with Akainu, he's the magma fruit, right?
Right.
So essentially, he's limited to the effects of like magma,
Uh-huh.
where he can go. Of course, he can. As far as like One Piece logic is hard, because we talk about the Ace and Akainu thing, where Akainu. I don't think Akainu was hotter than Ace. I think he was able to smother Ace with
I
lava.
agree.
Therefore, he kind of put out Ace's fire. That's why he's able to hurt him. So using that
Like,
to
in the One Piece world, they're like the elements, and like a lot of people try to relate them to our elements. They're not the same. Like magma in One Piece is way hotter than magma in real life.
you think so?
Yeah, same with Aokiji's ice. Aokiji's ice is way more durable than real life ice, and etc.
Why do you think
I would argue that Kizaru's light is slower than our light.
Of course. I mean, the logic isn't. They're not the same, obviously. But why do you think Akainu's magma is way hotter than Ace's ice?
Ace's fire.
Or Ace's
Not
fire?
Ace's
Yeah, Ace's
fire.
fire. Yeah.
I don't think it's way hotter than Ace's fire. I think Ace's fire is way hotter than like our fire, for example, or maybe
Right.
even colder because it doesn't really do that much damage to people in general. But
Or people are more durable in One Piece.
yeah, exactly, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bec-
Yeah, I think just because the way fruits work, we've been told that Akainu's fruit is superior. That's just the way it is. It doesn't mean that Ace can't or someone with the flame fruit can't beat Akainu. Of course they can
yeah,
if they're a better fighter. But and Oda said himself that can happen. But as a base, it's a bit like Luffy versus Katakuri at the moment. The mochi fruit is better in a lot of ways than the rubber fruit,
yeah,
but eventually Luffy will overcome it.
yeah. But I guess my thing is that as far as devil fruit wise, having the chill fruit, I feel like Aokiji. I don't know because they were using like the Aokiji Ace effect to kind of equate it to the magma ice effect, where yes, Akainu can melt Aokiji's ice, but Aokiji can create ice just as fast. Where it's like, is that an advantage for Aokiji or for Akainu? Do you think Akainu's fruit is superior to Aokiji's fruit? That's more
Um,
difficult to me.
I feel like if you look at Marineford, technically, like it's hinted that it is because it can melt the ice and smash through the ice,
Right,
and boil the water, and so it is incredibly hot. And like when Jozu threw the iceberg, his magma fist completely eviscerated the ice.
right.
It didn't just get blocked, you know. So perhaps it is a counter, but the opposite end is true because Kizaru trolls are kind of at one point saying, "Why doesn't he just melt the ice that's stopping the walls from going up?" You
Exactly.
know,
That's my point. Where it's
and,
like,
and people argue, well, if he could, he would, you know.
here's the thing: it's a chill fruit, right? Where it's like meaning making ice is not the extent of his abilities. I feel Aokiji, I believe, can make ice and make things deeper than colder than ice. In regards to, I feel like absolute zero is a thing with Aokiji, where certain ice you make it cold enough, it can transform to metal. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I mean, of course, that's going super deep in as far as like logic and explaining One Piece and powers, but I don't know if Aokiji was at an ultimate disadvantage fighting for 10 days. Because if we use the advantage saying, okay, Aokiji, all right, he has access to water, so he should be stronger than Akainu, they were fighting on an island. At the end of it,
I don't think that the water is like the biggest deal. I feel like,
I don't think so either,
for
because he
example,
can't fall into water. He can't do that. He has to, like, he makes a layer on the water, but water still affects him the same way.
yeah, exactly. I feel like, for example, the evidence that I would have used if I was arguing for Aokiji is that the Gorosei at the time said that he is the greatest force in the Navy, and people misconstrued that and think they're talking about all three admirals,
Yeah.
but no, they're just talking about Aokiji. And then you also have Sengoku wanting to promote him to fleet admiral, and not Akainu or Kizaru. But then the Gorosei chose Akainu because of the way he dealt with things in the war, etc., etc. Um,
So you say, wait, they said
it,
Aokiji is the greatest force in the Navy?
Yeah, the Gorosei said that like before he was revealed, like on his introduction. They're like, "Where is he? You know, he's the greatest force in the Navy." And that same slogan is used for all three admirals, but they singled out Aokiji on his own on his introduction.
Yeah, but then that could be saying, okay, they're calling him the greatest force in the Navy because that's the only one that was introduced at that time. He's
But in the same arc, they Robin then talks about all three of them. You know.
But would Robin know? Would Robin kind of single them out that way? You know what I mean? Because it's like,
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just works both ways. You
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
argue, you know.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you want to take it literally,
Hmm.
they did say that he's the best.
I feel like yes, but that's kind of countered with them saying it about all three once they're revealed. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah, but you
yeah,
can have the four greatest pirates on the planet or the three greatest military forces, but there is one that's going to stand on top.
yeah, but it's like saying the greatest force in the Navy. It's like I think is more towards his rank than
Yeah,
him individually. You know what I mean?
uh-huh. You could argue that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But I know I understand what you're saying. I just feel like it's clear. Well, it's not clear, but I feel like the
I
story
think all three of the original admirals are relative. I think they're equal. It's
they're
just
close. They're pretty close.
yeah, yeah.
It took 10 days. Like overtime happens all the time because teams are equal. They're so close that you need extra time for it to be resolved. That's the same thing with Aokiji and Akainu, where saying Aokiji is stronger than Akainu because of the advantage that you think he had, the disadvantage you think he has because he's ice, or well, he's not ice. He's chill in
Miss
comparison to
Haki comes
Brago.
into play as well, and awakening and all that stuff.
Okay, let me ask you this: how much do you value matchups?
Oh,
Um,
massively.
do you think they're more important the stronger you are?
They're important the whole way through. Like just Luffy is the perfect example. He is his matchups are usually the reason he wins. And the same with Usopp
Right.
versus Perona or Sugar matchups.
But one could
Zoro
argue this, right?
versus all sorts of things.
One could argue this, right? Matchups for me, because I know a lot of people have counter arguments. Where I know one vision in particular. He said matchups are more important the stronger you are, because the stronger you are, the closer the battles are. Where like you need an advantage in some way to win these battles. My argument was matchups are less important the stronger you are because you've come face to face with so many different disadvantages
You should have
as
counters to your own matchups.
exactly. You should have counters in place where it's like the higher up you go, it comes down to okay, are you just better? So
Well, that's why Crocodile was so
pers-
impressive despite the ass pulls because he did have counters to his own counters.
but if Crocodile, say you get to if Crocodile was stronger, say Crocodile
Uh-huh.
was first commander level,
Uh-huh.
Luffy, regardless of what it is, Luffy is not winning there.
Yeah, he could.
You think so?
Yeah,
How?
because he already did. He like Luffy shouldn't the gap between Luffy and Croc at that point was so massive. It should have been impossible, but he did it nonetheless because he's Luffy.
Well,
He
yeah.
stood back up and he was immune to poison and he was immune to an entirely new move that we'd never seen before.
When
And
did
he
he
was
become
immune
immune to
and he
poison?
was immune to three of the attacks that he had to dodge previously that could slice him in half. That's the reason he won. But regardless, he still did it and he could do it again at the right hand level. I was saying like for example if you wanted if yeah because Luffy did what he did where he was immune to all that stuff at the end and he pulled through and he won despite the gap in strength. But if you want to take it as in like what should happen, Crocodile should have slaughtered him like he was doing previously, etc., etc., and it should have been over with. And if you're going to use your example of Crocodile being right hand level and then Luffy being how he is right now, Crocodile would slaughter him all the same. For example, if he had observation haki and he was doing what Katakuri's doing, blah blah blah,
Right.
then he would absolutely decimate the competition
Right.
without question.
I guess what I'm saying is, okay, you give two lower level um, combatants with equal potential, equal mastery, equal, they're on the same level in regards to everything, Doriki, all that. You give one the fire fruit, you give one Monet's fruit.
Uh-huh.
10 out of 10, at the beginning stages, the fire fruit is winning.
No,
Why not?
because it depends on how it's used. The fruit is dependent on the user entirely.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But it's like when you're just starting out, say you can't even control your fire, right? And you can't control your snow,
Yeah,
right?
but what's to say that the other person can't figure out other things? Like I'm just going to create loads of snow and it will douse the fire in water and stuff like that.
I mean, but the thing is, they can't control it either. Where it's like the fire ultimately is I guess the counter to the snow, right? Where it's
Well,
like,
doesn't it work? Doesn't it work the other way around too?
what do you mean?
Because if there's enough snow, it would douse the flames.
I mean, I guess I guess it could work that way. But as far as like a
It's the same with
standpoint,
Smoker, and Ace. Like Ace himself, despite being a second division commander, stated that a fight between himself and Smoker would be pointless because their fruits are equally matched.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's like if they were stronger, that would never be the case. That's not the conversation there. The conversation is like, okay,
But
it's
why not? Surely Ace, as we know, Ace should have been stronger than Smoker. He's the second division of a Yonko, yet he's fighting Captain Smoker.
hockey. We know Ace had hockey, but the thing is, Oda had not introduced hockey to be prominent in the series at the
But then,
time.
then on the opposite side, why wasn't Smoker the best? He had a Sea Stone Jite.
I mean, yeah, he had a sea stone jitsu, but he had to get through that fire. He had no way
Yeah,
to get through the fire.
but it's a Sea Stone Jite.
I mean, yeah, but it's like he can. Okay, he used the jutei. The jutei is working on their actual body. To get through his actual body, you have to get through that fire, right? Because remember, Ace made a firewall.
Uh-huh.
So it's like with Smoker, he's like, fuck, from my jutei to work, I have to get through that fire. I have no way of getting through that fire because he's just countering with like his own fire. So it's like if they were stronger, you have different counters and ways around your actual weakness. Where I feel like matchups matter less the stronger you are. I mean, that's how I'm viewing it.
Uh, I think it's the same throughout. I really do. For example, like I think you'll find that like Law would be a better matchup for Katakuri than Luffy.
Why you say that?
With his radio knife and the way that works, if he were to ever land such a hit,
Right.
it would be devastating to someone like Katakuri.
So radio knife. Yeah.
It would be. Not saying it's gonna hit. I'm just saying if it did, it would completely negate.
Bro,
Oh damn, it hit me. You know.
what's key here is it hitting. You know.
Of course, but it's the same with Luffy. What's key here? Him hitting. He can't hit Katakuri unless he has snack time and gets angry.
Right. So that's the thing where it's like, regardless, it. Okay, so you're saying Law has more of an attack where it's like if it hits, it has a long-lasting effect. It
Yeah,
has
whereas
more of an
Luffy has
effect
absolutely nothing.
where Luffy has a bunch of punches in Gear 4, but after that, Katakuri recovers. With Radio
Uh-huh.
Knife, he takes a while to put himself back together. But after that, what is Law really doing?
He's got Gamma Knife. I don't think Katakuri can heal himself with Mochi. He's got a mess. He could maybe take his heart, stuff like that. Like, it's just, you know how law works. For example, I argue maybe someone else. Like, for example, I feel like Nami would have a better time, or Jinbei would have a better time versus Katakuri, not based on strength, obviously.
Yeah,
Nami is far weaker than them,
yeah,
but matchup wise is better, but it doesn't mean they'll perform better than Luffy. Luffy's performing incredibly well
right.
because he has haki, he has speed, he has all sorts of things to dodge,
Plot,
whereas Nami doesn't. She just has a counter.
plot. Nah, I hear you. I hear you. Nah, I feel like we agree on that. We agree on that. But I feel like we definitely one day want to have a stream around matchups and like how they could impact a
They're
story.
devastating. Look at Cracker. Like that guy, and you know how I feel about him. Against a lot of people, his defense is pretty damn strong, right? But all it took was a little rain, and it fell apart, and he couldn't do anything. And it just so happened that at the same time, there's a rubber guy that can eat these wet biscuits and completely reduce the numbers of biscuits he's creating.
Yeah, that was tailor made for Luffy to succeed there.
Of course, but it still exists as a matchup problem.
Yeah.
That is a counter to him.
Yeah, the thing is when we delve deep into these, matchups and power level things, from a view of, okay, looking at it from a fighting standpoint, we're like, at the end of the day, it's a shonen, and
Like it's the same with it's the same with Big Mom in the ship at the moment. It's
yeah,
tailor made
yeah,
that we can get out because we just so happen to have a person with weather abilities. We just so happen to have a person with soul abilities. We just
yeah.
so happen to have a person with water abilities.
So Big Mom's abilities were essentially tailor made to be countered by the Straw Hat crew.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing we're gonna run into every time with the Straw Hats, but it's still fun to talk about.
yeah. Again, like for example, I just don't know why like people would find it so negative. Like what she's done, ripping apart. Like what's Frankie going to think to the damage of the ship? He doesn't
Yeah.
have any more Adam Wood. How is he going to replace that? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? You know?
Metal. I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting to see what happens. But fuck. I know the chapter should drop. I don't know, probably in a couple hours or so. I know the spoilers are out. Um, I don't know. We may still be streaming when you wake up.
What's your thoughts? Oh, I didn't talk to you about the other one, the start when Luffy goes back in the mirror world to fight Katakuri, and Katakuri's like, "Why are you here? You trying to join the crew?" Blah blah blah. What's your thoughts on that bit?
Cat is weakened. I
Why
think.
is he weakened?
I think his observation hockey does have a limit. Um, I'm not sure if because Luffy says I'm giving him time to rest, right? Um, as far as the time, how much time does it take for Katakuri to recover? Luffy has no knowledge of that. So with Katakuri at this point, yes, I feel like he's definitely been resting, But I don't know how much the impact of using his powers throughout this day has impacted his whole his fighting. Because if you remember in that moment when Luffy attacked him, right? This was the first time Katakuri dodged a normal attack.
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Every time you have let that attack just pass right through you. Why at this point did you actually dodge a regular attack?
Uh-huh.
Did you not see it? Is something clouding your judgment? Or are you not using observation haki? You know what I mean? So for me,
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at that saying something is up. I don't know what it is.
Or like for example, he asked Luffy a question, yet he didn't know the answer to it. Whereas before he was always
Precisely.
commenting.
Exactly. So that tells me that either he's resting his observation in that moment where okay, I've used too much. I gotta bring it back and just dodge him around till I can use it again, or something is up because he doesn't do that. Like based on the story, he doesn't dodge anything. Like every,
Um,
or he doesn't take any
it's
hits.
definitely an interpretation I haven't heard before, so I'll give you props for that. That's news to me. I didn't think about that.
Something is up. I don't know if this was Oda just like giving a cool panel with Katakuri just dodging it, but he doesn't do that, man. Like
I agree. There's the same with lots of things. Like there's moments where I'm like that doesn't add up.
it doesn't
But
add up with his whole character.
for example, I'm a bit annoyed that Luffy can even come back and challenge him in base form. I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be like Katakuri should be making light work of base form at this point. That's why I'm like dodging base form Luffy. What's going on, Cat? But hopefully we see some more of it this upcoming
Like for
chapter.
example, his younger brother Cracker, was put through a more rigorous scenario that he had to deal with Luffy and meeting homies and
Yeah,
form and all that, right? And yet he lasted 11 hours against such a and had his fruit taken and stuff like that. And
yeah,
he lasted against that. Whereas with Katakuri, he's in an ideal scenario to shut Luffy down
it's not
as many
happening.
times as he wants, yet he just refuses to. And there's not really an excuse anymore like there was before. Maybe he's testing him, maybe he's trying to
Yeah,
see what he's capable of.
yeah,
It's just a story at this point. Like Oda is like, well, I want Luffy to learn more observation haki, so I'm just
yeah,
going to have him fight for longer.
yeah,
It's basically his way of paralleling Luffy getting gear second and gear third out of nowhere in his lobby with Rob Lucci.
yeah. And it's also looking at it where did Oda, after you wrote a chapter about Katakuri being a low gear, right? Did he look at it and saying, wait, it would be more impactful if Katakuri was a paramecia and Luffy learned. You know what I mean? Where it's like, 'cause we know Oda does things. It's like some of the things are on the fly. Where he
Yeah,
realized this could be cool. This could be
yeah.
great for Luffy if this is a paramecia, a special paramecia.
I don't even know, like, if Luffy loses this round, where is Brule? Can he grab Brule again? And if he does, would you consider that trash?
I would not like that again. I hate when things are repetitive and it's used the same thing is used over. That's why I did not want Nami to control Zeus the same way again. So if
Yeah.
he uses Brule again to run away to recover again, come on, like I cannot.
But then, if he does fail this time, what is going to be the excuse?
There's if Katakuri fails this time, I don't. It depends on how
No,
Oda
no, no,
does
not
it.
Katakuri. I'm talking about Luffy. If Luffy falls this
Yeah,
time, or cannot do it this time, what is the get out?
it has to be someone else. Germa, maybe. But
How they getting in
how
the
they
mirror
get in the
about
mirror
Brule?
world? Yeah, yeah. I don't. Shit, man.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
This is the problem. Is this entire time you've been faced with a scenario where until the cake is baked, and because that is the time limit, until that cake is baked, Luffy has to stall, and I said that ever since we were
yeah.
told that they're going in the
I
mirror
didn't
world.
like
He
that.
has, that is the time limit
I
of
didn't
how
like the
long this fight
time.
is going to
I
last.
didn't like the time thing because I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be stretched out. There's gonna be a bunch of BS, and it's like, it's kind of happened that way. But
Yeah, yeah. I think it's. I still personally think Jinbei's going to eventually help him.
yeah,
Still
I
think
mean,
that.
I wouldn't be mad at that. But at this point, I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of they are not. I don't know how close he is. It's just I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
they're going to go back to Coco Island
Yeah,
eventually anyway to meet up with him. So
yeah,
I don't think Luffy's just going to leave the Mirror World after beating Katakuri in good condition. I don't even think he'd be able, if Brule isn't in a bag anymore, would he even be able to catch Brule, for
yeah.
example?
That would be cool. I mean, I'm not mad at that, but it's looking unlikely.
We'll
To
see,
be
man.
honest. We'll see.
I feel like an Usopp speech is incoming. Like he's on the floor and someone shouts to him, "Get up! You can do
Luffy, we
this."
gotta get
Yeah,
away, Luffy. Nah,
yeah,
hopefully not. Hopefully not. But Theory, this is always dope, man. We got to do this more.
yeah. I appreciate it, man. Always good.
You got to do this more. I know you're a busy man now.
Yeah,
With
I
all
got
this
10
stuff.
kids. So,
Yeah, two wives. It's
yeah.
crazy for you.
Well, you know how it is. We're
Uh,
posting panels, arguing
yeah,
with idiots.
I feel you, man. But I don't know. They bring up that panel shit all the time. It's always hilarious. But nah, you definitely got to jump in one of those streams soon when you get some time.
Yeah, I see you've got the. I mean, I see you've been working, like, for example, in the Reverie things and speaking with King Lightning a lot more and stuff, and getting more people in your streams and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Good for you.
yeah. We've definitely been getting a lot
You've
more.
grown a lot since I first met you.
Yeah. What was it? The Kaido theory from One World. Remember that? It's when I went through the other day on January 23rd, I think 2016. Do you remember that stream with it was you, myself, Flying Panda, One World, Legend Mac, Marco, One Piece Theorist, Buggy. Remember that stream?
Uh-huh.
I was like, yo, that was 2 years ago.
Damn.
2 years
Two?
ago. 2 years ago, bro. It was
Oh
January
my God.
2016 when we had that
That
stream.
was during Zoe.
Yes. I was like,
Damn.
that's amazing.